With the Bible's core message of peace and love of one's neighbour, it might be surprising that someone following the message of Jesus and calling themselves a Christian would feel in any way threatened. Far from it. Today, Christians around the world are persecuted for their faith. Many have been brutally murdered or displaced. But why? What drives this religious hatred? Where is it occurring and who is responsible? Today I've come to Westminster in Parliament to find out more about this issue. 1 in 7 Christians around the world are persecuted for their faith, making Christianity the most persecuted religion on earth. Anti-Christian violence has erupted across parts of Africa, leaving millions displaced and in constant fear. Over the past 13 years, around 45,000 Christians in Nigeria have lost their lives, and 4 million are now living as refugees. The conflict occurring in Nigeria is mainly down to a rise in jihadist activity from Boko Haram. Aid to the Church in Need are a charity that I've been covering for a few years now. They're a charity focused on solving the issue of Christian persecution across the globe. In Parliament, they were launching their Africa Update, a report that looks at Christian persecution occurring in Africa, what the issues are, and how best to go about responding to them.
Africa has seen an explosion of violence during the period under review of the Religious Freedom in the World Report 2023. In sub-Saharan Africa, it has been driven by jihadist groups who have systematically persecuted everyone who does not accept their extremist Islamist ideology. While it's very worthwhile to look at underlying causes and analyse what's driving the crisis, we should not forget that it is real people whose lives are touched and in some cases torn apart by growing extremism. Let us do all that we can to end the violence.
Some very important words there from Dr. John Newton explaining the conflict occurring across Africa. Some of the stories that he referred to are available in Aid to the Church in Need's Africa Update, and there's a link available to that in the description of this video. Jim Shannon is the MP for Strangford in Northern Ireland, and he is deeply committed and passionate about this issue, as can be seen in the next clip.
My brothers and sisters are suffering. Let's make sure that our brothers and sisters are uplifted every day. And when it comes to prayer, that we can make changes in our prayers for all those people across Nigeria and indeed across Africa. The ones that Caroline, Fiona, I and other MPs and everyone here prays for every day. Pray for those brothers and sisters. Thank you.
The event was co-chaired by Baroness Caroline Cox, and the other speakers included Caroline Hull, the National Director of ACN UK, and Fiona Bruce, the Prime Minister's Special Envoy for Freedom of Religion or Belief. Now I've come to Farm Street in London to talk to Bishop Oliver Dey of the Maiduguri Diocese in Nigeria about his experience with persecution from groups such as Boko Haram. So I know you've had experience facing persecution by the group Boko Haram. What's that been like for you?
Well, from 2009, we started experiencing the persecution of the Christians in our own diocese, especially from this terrorist group called Boko Haram. They started by attacking churches. They also attacked Christian homes, shops and business centers, with the aim of eliminating Christianity in the northeastern part of the country, and also to extend that to other parts of Nigeria. So since then up to now, we have been experiencing the Boko Haram crisis.
Do you think it takes courage to be a Christian in Africa?
In many parts of Africa, it takes courage to be a Christian. Then in some places, you have priests being kidnapped by kidnappers. Well, in most times they will be asking for ransom, they will be asking for money, and when that is given to them, they may release the priests. But let me tell you that for the past 3 years, more than 10 priests have been killed in our country, Nigeria. I'm not talking of other pastors from other churches. Only in the Catholic Church, more than 10 priests have been killed. Now, if priests have been killed, then you know that the lay people are mostly affected, since there are many. So in our diocese, the Catholic Diocese of Maiduguri, we have over 1,000 Catholics that have been killed in the Boko Haram crisis. Yet, what I want to tell you, and that's the good news, is that the faith of our people still remains unshakable. In fact, it is even growing. It is becoming stronger and stronger. That in the midst of bomb blasts, the midst of gunshots, you find our people going, to churches for their religious devotions, for masses, and for other spiritual activities. So that is the situation we are experiencing in our country and other parts of Africa.
Do you think that change and stopping Christian persecution is possible through prayer?
That is the number one. And in our diocese, I'm saying that Boko Haram is degraded. It's not because of the security agents' intervention alone. No, it is largely because of prayer. Because what we're experiencing is demonic. It has a spiritual undertone. If somebody is not controlled by the devil, he cannot just take pleasure in killing fellow human beings who are created in the image and likeness of God like him.
Initiatives, of course, being put in place to raise awareness about this crisis. One of those is Red Wednesday, organised by Aid to the Church in Need. How important is this event for you?
It is a very wonderful initiative. I applaud it, and I applaud the ACN staff, for this initiative. And I call on people in different parts of the world where they are not experiencing persecution to link up and try to get the message, that will be given on this Red Wednesday, so that they will know that some Christians, some brothers and sisters of theirs are being affected by the terrorist activities. And they too will try to support them, because that is what brotherhood is all about. That is what love is all about. That is what solidarity is all about. That my brothers and sisters are suffering in this part of the world, I assist them in the ways where God has blessed me. So I look forward to that, and I encourage people to really listen to not only one message, but messages that will come from various contributors in that Red Wednesday event this November.
Do you think that events like Red Wednesday are making a difference?
When people hear, they will be stimulated to act. When somebody does not hear what is happening, the person will not do anything. But when the person hears, even though it's not everybody who hears that will be prompted to help, but a good number will definitely give assistance, whether it is morally, whether it is socially, economically, or spiritually. They will be there to give assistance to those of us who are affected. So I want to thank the Aid to the Church in Need for such initiative. Yes, for such initiative, to the extent that even some victims of the crisis are brought, to be shown to the world that yes, this is really, it's not just a make-up story, but it is a reality that Christians in other parts of the world are going through a lot of persecution. So it is wonderful, and I encourage the ACN to continue with this initiative.
So what can you personally do to help this issue? Aid to the Church in Need has one request for you to take action this Red Wednesday. There are several ways you can do this. Firstly, by pledging a decade of the Rosary. Secondly, by joining the effort to raise 100k for Africa, with all donations doubled by generous donors. Your contribution of £25 can provide trauma counselling for children and adults scarred by their experiences. £100 can provide emergency relief of food, water and shelter for those fleeing persecution. And of course, you can share this video with a friend to help raise awareness. Links are in the description if you want to get involved. Elliot, Hartley, Red Wednesday 2023.